I did want to talk a little bit more about Cart and some other things, but while we're on the subject about you and your story, um, there's some articles about that as well, and some people might have read this also. Uh, it's more on the personal side of things, where I know that you were part of like a horrific incident, and you were kidnapped when you were 16. What's that story about?
Yeah, so it's kind of it's wild. And maybe for people in Karachi who got so immune to this stuff, it's maybe not as wild, but for me it was wild. So around the same time, when I had decided to move to Houston and leave Cambridge, I had to actually go spend a little bit of time in Karachi to get my immigration done and all of the stuff that you need because you have to go through the US embassy in Pakistan and all that. So I was visiting there and I had rented a car and I was with a friend just driving around Karachi. And during a night out on a cool December morning, I was stopped at a red light and I had my windows down because it was nice and cool outside and felt a gun to my head while I was talking to my friend and I was like, "What's going on?" And it was the guy that's like basically says that, "Hey, get onto the passenger side." And so I get onto the passenger side and he gets into the driver's seat. Another guy comes up from the back and sits in the back seat. And they start driving around around Karachi, and I'm like, "Hey, what do you want? You want the money? You want the car? Like, just take whatever you want." And they had ulterior motives because they wanted to actually hold us hostage and then go rob stores. So, for those of you that are from Karachi, this all happened in the North Nazimabad area, and they took us to an area near North Nazimabad that's known as Patosh, and they go over there and they start robbing like supermarkets there at gunpoint while they still had us in the car. And so they did that 2 or 3 times. And then I think the fourth shop they went to, one of the guys over there actually had a shotgun. So he comes out and starts shooting at these robbers. Doesn't know that two people in the car are actually, not robbers.
Oh,
Ended up shooting at the car, but thankfully, one of the robbers gets shot, but he gets back into the car and we all escape from there. At this point in time, the robbers are like basically like, "Look, we've shot at someone and we may have killed the other guy," which means that this quote unquote kidnapping robbery case has become a murder case, in which case we have to get rid of the witnesses. And unfortunately, in that circumstance, we were the witnesses. So
wow.
they took us to an area in near Paposh where in the backside there's a mountains area right behind it, and basically told us to get out of the car and we're basically going to kill us. Got us on our knees, execution style. Um, put one of the guns that the guy had on my head and basically asked me to recite the kalma and everything, and basically just started pressing the trigger and nothing was happening. So he went back, loaded the gun, put it on my head, did this 7 times, and it was not my day to die. And his gun just wasn't working. I mean, I guess thank God for Pakistani manufactured guns; they didn't work. So I live to tell a story another day, and um, they they just left us there at that point, and they were like, "Look, we're not gonna." And they were speaking Pashto, which I didn't speak, but one of my friend that I was with did speak Pashto, and he told me that they discussed the idea of killing us without guns. And I'm like, man, that would not have been
Oh,
pretty.
wow. Yeah.
So at some point in time, thankfully, common sense prevailed, and they left us by ourselves, and we survived the ordeal, and I got out of Karachi at that point as quickly as I could. Because obviously I was terrified, and now I have gone back multiple times and love spending time in Pakistan. But it was a pretty traumatic event. But it's crazy because you feel like you're 16 years old and you're not ever going to be wise when you're that old. But when you go through an incident like this, you wise up really quickly, right? And what I realized was that life is very fragile, and we only have one turn around the world, and what you do with it is totally up to you. So in that moment of time, I realized, 16 years old, nobody in the world knew me, and I just didn't want to die that way. So ended up becoming even more motivated in life, and have developed a very high level of urgency and trying to accomplish whatever I set out to accomplish.